I'll call the meeting to order. This meeting is being audio recorded for minutes only. Only audio will be deleted once minutes are approved. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the September 30th meeting, 2025, as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Is there any public address to the board tonight? Tony?
Yes, Jim. Tony Bagley, Rule 617 Old Windsor Road. Thank you. Last evening, I spoke to the select board regarding what I'm going to speak about this evening also. As many of us know, the Dalton Select Board met with representatives from Pittsfield this past summer regarding the increase in sewage rates, which is coming down the line. EPA not require Pittsfield to upgrade their sewage system, and since we feed into that, of course, we're going to have to pay increased rates. Those rates may double within the next 2 or 3 years. The select board is more than willing to have a conversation with the fire district. Basically, right now we have a flat rate, and no commercial properties are metered, but we have no metering in Dalton. Meter system, which I'm a proponent of, would be judicious, equitable, and also part of conservation. I've done some homework I've shared with the select board. Blackstone, I talked to their town administrator, is going to the second round to get funding. They're a town of about 9,000, maybe 2,000 households for $1.5 million. Over the last 30 years, they've had various meters installed, and it's rather a nightmare in terms of billing. What they're proposing is to have an RFP put out for one contractor to install wireless meters in all the households. That would facilitate billing, everybody be on a par. I'm also going to be speaking with Rentham this week because supposedly they have also experienced this. I think a conversation is in order in terms of looking for solutions. Last night our town manager mentioned that in a discussion with an engineering firm that's performing work in Dalton, those individuals were surprised to hear that we don't have metering, that in fact it may be a requisite down the road. Facing increased costs, we're not going to be paying less, but what we're going to do is be more equitable with people. The more you use, the more you pay in terms of water. That water usage can be used to determine sewage. Aside from lawn, sprinklers, or pool, of course, that is the most equitable way. And that median number of households, well, 50% above that median number will pay more based on their usage, and 50% less. And of course, there'd be a fixed cost, what with the installation and the overseeing of the meter, so everybody would pay something. But I don't have an answer in terms of just how that building would proceed, but it's certainly in Dalton's interest to look at metering as the future to more equitable, judicious, and a way to conserve water in our community. So I'd ask some members, I know it's only one of you that could do that, to meet with the select board, start a conversation.
I got a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I make a motion that if we meet with a selectman, it's the full board, not one member.
Fine by me, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, personally.
Okay.
I have a question. Is that just because the town is getting charged for the sewer usage, right? And that's measured by Pittsfield's meters?
Yeah, we pay it for everyone.
Okay, and we have how many trunk lines going out of town?
I don't know.
So there are other ways too, where you can actually meter the outflow yourselves to compare with Pittsfield's meter. I think that might be a good idea too. They have meters that measure sludge. They're ultrasonic meters. They send a sound wave through the solution and it measures the amount flowing through. They have them in different sizes, and that might be a slightly more cost-effective way. Because just putting meters in the houses, like you said, that 50% would be paying more and 50% would be paying less. But there would have to be a study done in order to figure out exactly what we have to charge per gallon, because as soon as people are metered, they're gonna conserve water. So they're gonna use less water, which is beneficial, but how do you charge that? How do you figure out what that rate's gonna be? Do you compare it with other towns? I mean, are people in Dalton more conscientious? Probably, you know? It's not a big city, so it's a big undertaking in order to get all the meters in the houses. And right now, DEP doesn't require us to meter at the residential level. We're metered coming into town. I can give you the numbers for all the usage coming into town that went into our water system. And that would give you the amount that that's being used by the town, and compare that with what Pittsfield's saying. There should be less, because some of the water's used with hoses and stuff outside doesn't go back into the system. But if it's more then the problem would lie under a stormwater infiltration or some other means, leaks in the pipes where they cross rivers, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of different avenues to look at before the, you know, in order to resolve that issue.
I'd agree with everything you said. Matter of fact, we have a stormwater commission now that I think they're gonna be asking for an appropriation of some $70,000 to look at that in terms of leaks.
Right.
All going on, so it all.
Another thing is during rain events, you may need to document what you have going out as your outflow. And during rain events, does that raise? It could be people that have their sump pumps hooked to their sewer.
That's that leak, isn't that?
There's tons of different variables there, so, yep, that's all I have to say.
I just think, I don't have an answer, as I said.
No.
Conversation should start, and I agree, it should, both boards coming together, putting our heads together, and looking ahead. It's inevitable, we're gonna be paying more. Just how, and who pays that is really the question.
We'll definitely sit down with the select board and talk and go through this issue. We've made a couple of attempts already to do this, but they don't seem to get all the way through. But more than happy if it goes on the agenda and you notify us, we will post it as a meeting for us to be there, and we will show up at that meeting. And that way, we won't have to get two different boards, you know, to pick the same day that everybody can make it. And usually that's the problem. You can't get everybody together. So if they put it on their agenda and you let us know when it is, we'll come to that meeting with our superintendent.
Perfect.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
no problem. Any other address to the board? Move on to the fire and ambulance.
All right, so I don't actually have the fire and ambulance report for this month, and the reason for that is the second bullet there, which is that we are in the midst of transitioning between the old reporting system, which is NFIRS, and then the Massachusetts version, which is NERIS, to a new emergency response reporting system called NERIS, and then the Massachusetts version is NERIS, because that's how we like to do that. One of the key differences there is in NFIRS, everything was coded by number, and now everything is sort of in plain English, but there's also a lot of new subsets of categories, etc. Ultimately, the hope is that this new reporting system will allow us to collect a lot more and significantly better data that we can then analyze. But because we're in the midst of that transition, I can't really pull accurate data for this past month because half of it's in one system and the other half is in another system. The other thing that I will say is with NERIS, the way, in order to make sure that we're reporting things accurately and correctly, we will no longer be recording things like inspections, etc., under the NERIS reports. They will be recorded under the inspection section of our software. So we can still collect that data, but it'll come up as a different data point. So you may see a little bit of a shift in numbers. Most likely we'll see that there's just more emergency response than, or sorry, medical response than fire response. Before I turn it over to Chief to talk about the structure fire on 10/19, I did just want to revisit, we obviously met and had our working meeting last week, but the way that I see it, the priorities for any building renovation, there are kind of 5 major priorities. The first and foremost being that we do need more and slightly more accommodating living quarters. The second would be office space that is also ADA compliant. The third would be meeting space that's also ADA compliant, both for training, but then so that you all can hold your meetings, etc. The fourth would be some more room for apparatus storage to keep it out of the weather. And then the fifth and sort of least lowest priority would just be more storage. We had talked about some other possibilities for storage of things like files, etc. So we probably are able to meet those needs relatively easily. But I didn't know if you had any questions or, discussion related to that prioritization.
I think it's what we all agreed on was necessary. I think that if we could tonight put together a committee that could work on this and get it off the ground and kind of get it up and running so that we can start getting some hard numbers in, and at some point then we'll bring engineers in to do a feasibility on the building and, what the thoughts are of what we can do as far as that goes. So do I have any volunteers for the committee? I'd like to do a 3, maybe 4 or 5, because I'd have to have odd numbers.
Does the board need to be on that committee?
It'd be nice if one of the board members was on that committee, yes.
Okay.
And I would suggest a prudential member. I think that Dennis's name had gotten thrown out there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I snuck up behind you.
Oh, sorry.
Good thing I say nothing bad.
That's what you said last week, right?
Yeah, I talked to Dennis because of his training, his expertise. Unfortunately, I can't speak for him, and right now he's eating Italian food somewhere, so drinking wine, so. But the Prudential Committee will have someone available for that.
Do you want to be on that committee?
Doesn't matter. If nobody else wants, I'll take it.
You want to have Cam on that committee for the commissioners?
Charlotte,
Myself?
Chris,
Yeah.
And then I might have suggested we ask one of our full-time members,
Sure.
one of our officers, full-time officers to participate.
so that'll be 4.
Do these meetings that
you
we have
can
need to be posted?
No, you're a subcommittee.
No, yeah.
Okay.
So you just need to pick a chairman. And then wherever, so Charlotte's picked as the chairman? I don't know if you saw that. Okay, all right. So
Apparently.
then she can coordinate when you meet and
All right,
things like that.
that works.
Charlotte, appoint a secretary. Don't do that too.
Okay,
Okay.
will do.
You need somebody
Not
to,
me.
I know. Yeah, and so then, I'm gonna turn it over to Chief to review the structure fire that we had on, October 19th.
Yeah, we were dispatched to a possible structure fire on Raymond Drive on the 19th. It was in the evening around 7:30, 8 o'clock. Residents were asked to evacuate, which they did. Upon arrival, we really didn't see any smoke or flame, but we did see some blackening on the garage door as it met the door casing above. Trucks hadn't arrived yet. It was myself and the Dalton Police Department, and we were trying to gain entry into the garage, trying to figure out what was going on, and with the assistance of Dalton Police, they assisted with forcible entry on the B side of the building through a walk-through door. And when we opened that door, the smoke just started billowing out, black smoke, pretty bad. So crews got in there, we stretched the line out there, they started making entry, started knocking down some flames and some hot spots they found. We did use our K-12 saw to open up a passageway and ventilate the garage door. We didn't open the garage door because I don't know, sometimes you get the garage door open, it'll come down on your personnel, so we forcible entry through the garage door. After we got everything, all the smoke ejected out there, the insulation and the sheetrock in the garage, because it was attached to the building, did hold in minimal smoke inside the living quarters. So that worked, that's why we have building codes. After we got inside there, we got the smoke cleared. We actually, before that, we did call a first alarm, which brought in mutual aid from City of Pittsfield for our RIT team. Hinsdale came to the scene, Windsor stood by at the station, and County Car 1 did show up too. So we had a very good response in our first alarm. We just did restructuring of our alarm structure, and our first alarm worked out very well, and we're very pleased with that. But after we got the smoke knocked down, we got inside, our Pittsfield crews offered up their fire investigators, which I took advantage of, and they came inside and they did their investigation. And they determined that the culprit of that incident was lithium batteries charging. The homeowner had said that she had heard a pop or an explosion in the garage and actually thought somebody was breaking in. When she opened the door from the kitchen to the garage, she encountered heavy smoke, closed the door, called 911. That's when we got there. We did find a pretty heavy bank, like power strip, like 2 or 3 lithium battery chargers plugged in. And that was I believe, our first lithium battery episode in our town. So they are out there and they're not good. So anybody out there listening, you got batteries charging, lithium batteries, you got to pay attention to them. You don't leave them unmanned, don't walk away from them. So, and also when they determined that the batteries had exploded, the investigators also instilled into us that even though the batteries have exploded, they can still heat up after they've split in half and exploded. They can still heat up and still reignite. So the only process to eliminate that problem is to submerge them in water, which is what we did. They recommend putting them in a 5-gallon bucket. We put them in a garbage can, submerge them in water. We got them about 20 feet away from the house. And so lithium batteries are bad. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. They're supposed to come up to a peak charging and shut off, and sometimes it's not happening. They overheat, they explode, cause fires. So please pay attention to your lithium batteries. Got out of there after 2-3 hours, sent all crews home, no injuries, and we were probably out of there by 9:30. So that's all I have about the report. My next thing I just want to talk about is our water superintendent. They took and worked on the apron of our fire station today. In the last couple of days, they've got a few days wrapped up in it. We just want to say thank you. They smoothed out the ripples where the trucks have pounded the blacktop down into some very dangerous ruts. And we just want to say thank you very much. I believe you have a future here, Bob. So, so if you get a chance, take a look at those out there, and you can actually don't have to watch where you're walking anymore. It's very smooth and very nice, and we appreciate it. Just want to say thank you.
Couldn't have done it without the wonderful crew that I had. So
There you go. Well, they need to get kudos.
they did a great job.
Thank you, Bob. That's all I have.
Okay. Is there any comment on the fire report? Seeing none, we'll move on to water.
Okay, been still working on that Waterworth rate study. They brought a lot of new information to me about how the rates should increase to cover inflation, the cost of materials, and everything else in order to get projects going and to be more proactive with our approach to water main improvements. So somewhere down the line, I got a meeting with him on the 19th of November. Sometime after that, I'd like to set up a meeting where we have a couple representatives, 1 or 2 representatives from the commissioners, so we can go over what they found, what their findings are, what their recommendations are, so that maybe we can move forward with some kind of increase in rates or something. It's nothing major substantial, but we've been charging the same rates for over 15 years. And without any increases, and the increases in society have gone sky high. And these increases aren't going to be large amounts every year, just small amounts every year, you know, for a few years in a row to get up to where we need to be. And we're probably some of the cheapest water in the state. So we got to look into that. We'll set up something with that. And the Greenridge Park project that we had going on there, where we had the engineering done and stuff, the engineering firm would like to know where we stand on that, whether we're going to move forward with any of it, some of it, or
Is there any grants out
that's just
there?
going to get tabled.
Well,
That was the one that was like $4 million.
Right.
To do the entire left side of Greenridge Park, that Greenridge Drive.
Yep.
And over to Pleasant View.
right,
And put in new mains in the streets instead of the backyard.
yeah, cut the back ones out.
So, and then there was a discussion we had where somebody had mentioned that we would maybe do it in phases.
Yeah.
You know, so we gotta come up with a plan of, you know, what are our plan of attack for that? Are we gonna do it in phases? Are we gonna break it down, and what we need to do to try to get something going over there?
Is there any grants out there? All right.
There's
Probably not.
There's nothing. There's grants for PFOAs and other contaminants, but not much in the lines of water main improvements. So,
We'll pull that study back out.
Yeah.
Look at it, see what we can do for a breakdown, and, start working on probably doing it in phases, so we're not hitting
right.
everything at once.
Right.
But, also look into USDA to see what the rates would be if we went for a $4 million loan on that.
Right.
What the rates would be. I'm sure it's gonna be a 40-year note if we do it. And again, you know, just so people know that, you know, in the last 10 to 15 years, what the district has been doing is taking a lot of what additional funds that we have and trying to pay our debt down in order to get our debt to a point where we can start going back out. Because at one time, with the dam work, the buildings of the pump stations and other tanks and things like that, we were carrying a significant amount of loan for our size.
Right.
So I think with looking at raising rates incrementally over the next couple of years will give us some kind of, you know, buffer that we can start to use to pay down loans that we can now take out in order to improve the water rate, the water mains.
So, number 3, post office repair. I guess there was a leak at the post office back in the fall. And they went in and they repaired it, and the line was galvanized. So they just patched it then. They went in and they replaced the line, so it's all copper going into the post office now. REWC contractor did it, Bob Collins. He went in and they replaced the entire line, got a curb box on it. While we were there, the new owner of the Shell station on the corner was there. We checked, the water was off to the building. He wanted to know if we could turn it on. We found the curb box for that, everything works with that. It's copper coming in, so we're assuming that it's copper the whole way there. Then we have Miller's gas station across the street. They've been working on that. They're gonna put in a Lipton Mart there. So, worked with the contractor. They broke the line inside the building and called, and I had to go down and shut it off, but they're all set now. It's off until they get it figured out what they're doing there. Then they were paving Tower Road, Pease Ave, Diamond, and Ruby Terrace. And we went down and we raised all the gate boxes up, put in risers and everything, and they're all to the surface, it's all repaved. Pomeroy Manor gate boxes, same thing. Those were, they actually heaved from frost over the years. We went down, we cut the blacktop, we pulled the risers off, got new ones on there, 2 level, and then repaved them, all of them down in there. Then I got a request from A+ Construction. They're doing some work for the state highway department. And they requested the plans for Main Street from the town line all the way to Orchard Road. So we collected them. We attached them to a Google file. and gave them access to it so they can have the copies of the plans of all the intersections that we had from one end to the next.
And what is A+ doing for the state?
Pardon me?
What are they doing for the state?
They're just doing, I don't know what they're doing yet. I don't know what the project is. Just preliminary engineering for now, I guess. Then the work with Ty and Bond, we're doing the radio upgrade project. That's all part of the, what program was that? The grant we got for the SCADA.
Yeah.
That's all part of that. So they got the guy online, they're ordering up the radios, they're gonna come in and change all of them out. Part of that, we went up and we checked the status of the repeater on the government mill. Batteries are still good, still charging, panels look great. So that's working. And we had a water break on Ensign Ave. I received a call from the homeowner, they said they heard running water. Went over to the house, we shut the curb box off, we could still hear the running water. We had Mass Rural Water come in, and they used a ground mic and their leak collator, and they pinpointed the approximate location of the leak. We cut a hole in the road, dug down, found the leak. It was on the service, it wasn't the main. We repaired the leak, backfilled, and already paved it. And then this out here. So that's it.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to administrative report.
So on October 1st, the residential billing was about $450,000. Within the last 3 weeks, we received a little bit over 201,000, so that's not bad. Bills aren't due until Saturday. 6 month meter bills were done October 15th. That was a little bit over 32,000 for the commercial buildings. I had spoke to Unibank, and they had a special CD going on. It was a 7-day rollover, so I moved $350,000 into the CD. The interest rate went from 1% to 3%, so we were receiving like $400 and something a month in interest, and now we'll be receiving $1,200 a month interest. And that rolls over every 7 days, and we can just keep it in there as long as we want.
Okay.
FY25, Lori from Kinshirf is just finishing that up. I had to send her over all the money that we wanted to encumber from last year into this year. So hopefully very soon she will have those numbers done for free cash. I did receive a thing from our water software, which when I started, we were paying $1,400 a year for it. Last year was $2,500. In FY26, it's going to be going up to $3,300 per year for our water software. So I contacted Vadar today because I know they have an add-on portal that they do everything that CUSI does, but more, where when Bob enters his meter readings for the industrials, it'll go automatically right into the software and create the bills where I'm not entering all the numbers in. So I'm just waiting on a quote for that, just to see what it is, because I mean, this is almost tripled in 5 years. So I'll let you know as soon as I receive that.
Okay.
And then the one last thing is the handbook. I know we've talked about it. Me and Charlotte have gone over some portions of it. I think it's really important that we get that going. I don't know if it's okay for me and Charlotte to sit down and finish it and then give it to you guys to approve, and if there's something you don't want in it, or if you want to have a meeting with me, Charlotte, and one of you guys, I just think it's important to get that going.
Why don't we finish the editing that you're doing on it now, and then we'll read it, then have that meeting and go over it and make any adjustments we have
So
to.
maybe, so plan like a separate meeting.
Separate meeting to do that.
Okay, so we'll finish the editing. Okay. And then I just have one quick question for Bob. Your meter software, is that Neptune 360?
We don't have any meter software.
We don't?
We have meters,
Right.
but we don't have any meter software. But yeah, it probably is Neptune 360 would be the product that we would need, and that's what we're going with. Because a majority of our meters in town are Neptune.
So
There's some that are.
what about like our 6-month meters? You don't use software for that, you just
We go out and we actually.
manually, that's what I
read.
thought.
Yeah.
Okay,
But if we were gonna go to radio reads, we would probably go with that. I could contact the representative for Neptune and see what they
the
recommend.
guy with Vadar just asked me, because he was just trying to,
Yeah,
put numbers together with the software that I would be using, and I wasn't sure, so.
yeah, all of our meters aren't Neptune yet. We have some Hershey's out there, so, but they're all manual reads anyways. We go out there and
Right.
actually write down the numbers.
Okay. That's it for me.
All set. Any questions on the administrative report? All right. Any other business that would like to be brought up in front of the board? Seeing none, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming.